I want to thank everyone for joining us today. My name is Erica Kraus, VP of Marketing at Way, and I want to welcome you to the International Luxury Hotel Association's webinar on how to leverage experiences to drive room demand, ADR, and loyalty. In this webinar, we are going to explore how to choose the right experiences for your brand or property, how to create more brand moments that surprise and delight guests and inspire them to return, and ultimately how to market these experiences and increase profit. With some softening in travel demand right now, this is an important topic, allowing you to ensure that your brand stays front and center and has those repeat customers that steadily increase your total RevPAR. So I'm really excited about our panel today. We have a wellness retreat in Big Sur, a sustainable farm just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, and a historic city property in the heart of Charleston. Each of these are incredible partners of ours at Way, and we know firsthand just how powerful their experiential programs are. I have absolutely enjoyed my conversations with them, and I know you will also. So without further ado, I'd love you guys to introduce yourself. Catherine, I'm going to hand the mic to you first. Tell us about your property and who you are.
Thank you, Erica. My name is Catherine Woods, and I'm Director of Marketing for BHC. We are a newly formed hospitality company located in Charleston, South Carolina. We were created about 2 years ago with the acquisition of the iconic Charleston Place, right in the historic center of Charleston. And with that, we've grown quickly. We have Sorelle, which is an Italian restaurant on Broad Street. We also own Credit One Stadium out on Daniel Island, hosts two concerts and the Credit One Charleston Open women's tennis tournament. We have the historic Riviera Theater right across the street from the Charleston Place. And next year, we're slated to open the Cooper, which will be Charleston's first waterfront luxury hotel. So a variety of assets, from hotels to restaurants to entertainment venues, really all with the unique desire to bring people together over shared experiences. And Way has been such a wonderful tool for how we've done that.
That's awesome. Julia, tell us about you.
Hi, good morning. My name is Julia Chaland, and I have the privilege of being the resort manager at ALHA Ventana in Big Sur. So we are right at the edge of the West Coast between the Pacific Ocean and the Redwood Forest. And we are a 59-room resort spread over 160 acres and are a really beautiful it's a really beautiful place for our guests to come and rediscover themselves. And so we have created over 40 curated experiences for our guests. And Way has been a platform that we have used as well that has allowed us to maximize so many revenue opportunities and guest experience improvements and proficiencies for our operations. And we're just really excited to have this conversation today. I'm so happy to be here.
Thanks so much. Kate, would love you to introduce yourself and Southall to us.
Hi, my name is Kate Helby. I am the Director of Guest Experience at Southall Farm and Inn. We're located in Franklin, Tennessee, which is about a 40-minute drive outside of downtown Nashville. We have 78 rooms here, 62 of those are in our inn, and then we have 16 cottages, which are standalone wraparound porch cottages that really provide a deeper connection with the land. We also have two restaurants here. One is January, another one is Sojourner, and they provide a culinary experience that is seed to fork. So much of the produce in our restaurant is grown here on the farm. And we really want to provide meaningful guest experiences through our spa and our activities. We have over 30 different activities here. And so we really want to focus on wellness and creating a unique guest experience for everyone that stays here at Southall.
So awesome. I love the uniqueness in your properties, and also what we'll hear in this conversation, some of the similarities and how you guys have approached your programming. I know as I was prepping for this conversation, I was making side notes of all the trips that I'm going to be taking soon to experience all the wonderful things that you guys have built. And we talk about your properties here at Way a lot. Just really admire all the amazing work you've done. I think one of the most important things that we could talk about before we even get into the hot topic, which is revenue and driving up ADR and loyalty, is how do you really choose the right experiential for your brand? It's one thing to put a ton of different experiences up on your website. It's another thing to really tie that to your business strategy, your brand strategy, and your overall revenue strategy. So I'd love to just start by asking you guys what anchors the experiential programming to your brand that you've built to your brand? And then how do you go through, what's the process you go through for deciding which experiences to create? I'll pass first to you, Catherine.
Thank you, Erica. For us at BHC and the Charleston Place, really our programming is rooted in the concept of giving our guests the keys to Charleston or the best of Charleston. You know, we're really fortunate here in this market that we have so many incredible special events, really wonderful makers, creative business owners. And so for us, it's really about, you know, whether it's wellness focused or holiday specific or even food and beverage, to really think about what we're creating through those lenses. You know, how can we deliver to our guests and our community access to something that they wouldn't necessarily find on their own? And so for us here at Charleston's Living Room, it also, you know, kind of boils back to that concept of being this gathering place for locals in the community. So we kind of think about it through those two arenas. One, you know, how do we give access to the best of what we have to offer here in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina? And then how do we do that through this concept of really bringing people together over shared experiences?
That's great. And I know, Kate, you guys are at Southall are actually a working farm. So would love to hear how you decide on your programming, given that very unique element of your property.
Yeah, so we have, being a working farm, we like to tie all the activities back to that. So whether it is a wellness activity in our spa or an adventure activity, a culinary program, we really like to focus on what our harvest is on the farm and make it seasonal. And that way it always keeps it fresh. And we've found that guests really want to experience and do new and exciting activities on their getaways. So for example, this month our harvest is tomatoes. And so we might focus our welcome amenity on tomatoes from the farm. And that way guests truly feel connected and makes them leave with a more memorable experience.
I think it's also really cool because, you know, you might want to experience Southall in the summer, but then also in the spring,
Right.
and the diversity of what that might provide. So that's awesome. Tell us about ILHA Ventana. I know you have years of history of this programming. And so how have you over the years evolved and also focus your programming on things that you know your guests really want to experience?
Well, for us, what's been interesting is ILHA has been around for some time, and it hasn't always been under the Hyatt umbrella, but Hyatt did acquire the ILHA brand. And for us, it was really a discovery process of getting to know the ILHA brand, because we felt we needed to start there. What is our brand defined by, and what are our values? And a big proponent of that is what we want to connect our guests in any destination they're visiting to the local culture and the local community. And it's focused on the earth first and sustainability measures. And so we took that and we tried to understand who we are as a brand before we started creating any experiences. And then our experiences go to a new process of what are our guests coming here for? And most of our guests are coming here to unplug, recharge, and to rediscover and to reconnect with their partner or themselves. And so one of our experiences is a cold plunge experience, for example, where we don't just put them in a cold plunge tub somewhere on the property. We take them on a hike off into the Big Sur wilderness, and we get them into the natural water source from Big Sur to do that experience. So we want to connect our guests to this space in really authentic ways, where we're upcycling materials on property for our programs. We are using so many of our natural spaces to facilitate these offerings, and that's what makes it so special. Because if anyone has ever been to Big Sur, you know that there's just this whimsical, mystic energy about it. And so when you take that and then you're also experiencing something like a cold stream experience or a Reiki underneath the centuries old redwoods, there's just something that moves you in a way that it's hard to describe. So I think we have to understand ourselves first before we can understand what programs will fit your brand.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've also dug deep into what is Big Sur have to offer uniquely, and why do people come to kind of that broader environment. And you know, the properties that you guys belong to also exist in a broader community or broader locale that has things to offer, which all of you mentioned. Whenever we're talking to partners about their programming, we're always talking about how to start with your brand, which clearly that, you know, Julia, you guys took a deep dive there. What does our brand stand for? What do we want to bring to the table? And then also, what does this property have to offer? I'd love to hear a little bit, as I know some of each of your stories, about how you're uniquely activating your property. What are the things that you're activating? Julia, obviously you nodded to the local streams. But what else are you guys doing to bring the property to life for people who are coming to experience something that they probably don't have in their backyard or in their locale?
Well, I can answer this as well. Like Kate, we also have a full organic garden on property that we've also agreed that it's a really important feature to our experience. Again, the sustainability. Do we source these ingredients from our garden? We also decided we want to get 30 chickens and start harvesting our own eggs. And we want to get 8 beehives so that we can start making our own honey and giving guests a dive in the hive experience. And one of the most meaningful experiences that we have is an opportunity for a guest to experience our garden with our gardener and forage any items that are ready. And then we take it down to an organization and they serve called the Big Share. It's a nonprofit organization that the community has had for decades, where everyone just brings what they can share. And so we take our guests, we just harvested beautiful ingredients and eggs from our garden, and we take our guests to the bigger community so that they can see where we are giving back and how we're doing our part. So that's just one area where I feel like we're really touching so many different aspects of the guest experience, but also the community commitment that we have.
I think that brings up a great point, Julia. I think that guests really want to feel involved in their activities. They want to really immerse themselves in it. I love that you mentioned your apiary program. We've had a very successful apiary program here at South Hall. We have over 8 million bees, and we harvest about 2,000 pounds of honey a year. We have an incredible beekeeper here by the name of Jay Williams. He runs all of our apiary tours, and we have what we call the bee cruise, where our guests can get in the vehicle with Jay, and they put on the bee suit, and they actually go to the apiary, and they can actually harvest the honey themselves. They can taste it and really learn about the whole program. And guests have just absolutely loved that. Then when they go to the spa, they can book a spa treatment with that honey. They can go to the restaurant and eat the honey. They can have a cup of tea with the honey. And so it really kind of touches every part of the resort. But guests have really responded very well to that, and one of our most popular programs here at South Hall.
That's so incredible. I love that.
Similar to Julia and Kate at the Charleston Place, it's really about understanding not only what your brand is about, but what your destination is known for as well. And Charleston is such a foodie town. We're blessed with incredible restaurants all up and down, King Street, which is where the Charleston Place is located. So food and beverage is always one of the experiences that we look to curate first and look to kind of reinvent season after season. Afternoon tea has become a staple for us here. We're a traditional, iconic property. But how do we put a twist on that? Depending on the season, we did a heart-to-heart Valentine's Day tea that utilized a local jewelry maker, Heart Jewelry, that's very well known with a little bit of a younger clientele. So really just kind of thinking about how we can kind of put a spin on things that people are already looking to do when they come to Charleston: eat, drink, shop. But one of the things that we're most well known for, and this is probably our most successful way experience, is our snowfall. So we actually make it snow every night during the holiday season in South Carolina. It's a complimentary experience that really has become a tradition for our community. It started completely on a whim 4 years ago, and now it's something that I don't think we could ever not do. And it's something we've really become known for throughout the Southeast. I mean, anecdotally, we've heard stories of people driving up from, Columbia and Beaufort, other areas within the state, from other states like North Carolina and Georgia, simply to come to have this snow experience. And we drove more than 20,000 reservations for snow in 24 hours last year. So the demand is absolutely there. I think it's not only about leaning into, your brand story, your destination, but thinking outside of the box as well. We've tried and tested new things. For example, we saw in January that there was this trend of mahjong kind of sweeping the country. We were starting to hear about it in Dallas and in the Northeast, but it hadn't really become a thing yet here in the Southeast. And so January is a little quiet, and people are looking for different ways to spend their time post holiday. And so we partnered with a local organization and we started offering Mahjong Mondays, and the demand just blew us away. And it was a really great way, again, I think, to go back to where we started with the Charleston Place, which is that driver, or that desire to really bring people together to connect over shared experiences. And what better way to do that than over a game night with a glass of wine?
That's awesome. I certainly want to get in on this trend. And I love that, even without this sprawling land and all these, things like, the sea and the bees, that you guys have brought some things to life that connect people, and also, put Charleston Place on the map, which is really cool. One of the things that, I know that each property kind of has to grapple with is, as luxury properties, is how to balance the desire for privacy and that luxury environment with this growing and also very human need for connection. And when we travel, we make new connections, and also connect ourselves more. And so would love to hear a little bit about how each of you and your properties and your brands balance that tension, in particular being luxury environments.
Well, here at South Hall, it definitely is a balance. I think it's something that's a work in progress, and always will be. We are just a few miles outside of downtown Franklin, which is a smaller community, but definitely a robust community that's looking for elevated dining experiences. And so with our restaurant in January here, the community really is looking for a restaurant just like that to go to dinner. And so we do open the restaurant to our locals. We do require a reservation to come on property. But then we have what's called our Rambling Dinner Series, which has been incredibly successful with our local community. We're just starting them up again now in the fall, where guests can come and enjoy a family-style dinner, where you sit at a table with somebody who you might not know, around a fire. And we have our seed to fork dinner available that night, and we have live music, and guests have really, really enjoyed that, as well as resort passes. We open up the resort to guests to be able to purchase on way on certain days of the week, obviously depending on occupancy and things like that. We limit it to certain days of the week, but the local community has really enjoyed that. And then it doesn't hinge on our staying guests too much. So far that's been quite successful for us.
Awesome.
I agree. I think it's a balance, and I think it's something that you just have to keep kind of working with your team. But luckily for us at Alila Ventana, we are spread over 160 acres. So we have a lot of space, and we can spread out our guests. We have 59 rooms. So we know how many guests are going to be on property on a given day. There's not a guessing game for us. So that allows us to get strategic with what programs we're offering at what times and what locations that they're going to be in. But I think it's also really important for us to make sure that our experiences still feel very intimate, because we could open a program and have 15 guests attend, and sure, we can make more revenue on that, but we intentionally keep them smaller because we want them to be more intimate. And if we have a max capacity of 6 guests, that allows us to do that and keep the connection between the facilitator and the guests still feel like they are getting a very personalized experience. And what's been really beautiful to watch too is when we have these smaller groups, we have found that the couples who are here get to know each other, and they say, "Oh, how long are you here? Oh, we're here for 2 more nights. Do you guys want to do axe throwing tomorrow?" And it creates a little
That's awesome.
community of our guests who then decide, "I want to book more experiences because I just had a great time in this experience meeting these guests." And so we have found that keeping our groups smaller actually does pay out better in the long run, instead of making it feel like we're just trying to stuff a classroom full of people. We want to keep it meaningful.
That's a really cool perspective.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And ditto to what the ladies said. It's absolutely a balance. And I love the sense of community that you all are building, Julia, through these personalized, intimate events. For us at the Charleston Place, we're a little bit large by nature. We're 433 guest rooms, 5 restaurants, a spa, luxury shops like St. John, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, all within the footprint of the hotel. We do take up an entire city block. So naturally, there's a lot happening within our 4 walls. And so that's where this balance really comes in. We do have a private club level on our 7th and 8th floors. And so in 2024, we really took the approach of developing unique experiences and programming just for our club level guests, and treating it more as a hotel within a hotel. Things like pop-up music performances, having our culinary director, our beverage director, some of our characters be a little bit more present, and doing hands-on demonstrations, interactions with our guests has been a really great addition. But for us, we've had, I think, about 61,000 people book Way experiences. So we're talking big numbers. And of course, as a luxury hotel, we want to balance that desire to bring people together with things that feel more personalized and more intimate and private. And so as we approach holiday 2024, for example, we're really looking at how we create a guest-specific snow experience via a dedicated lounge where they can have, the complimentary cookies and cocoa that we're known for, and have that snowfall experience, but in a little bit more of a private space. So we really have learned that the events that tend to sell out first are these big, epic, over the top, holiday or Easter experiences. But within that, how do we carve out ways for additional revenue opportunities, either for those guests or community members, or how do we create opportunities to lean a little bit more into luxury, high-end service within these over-the-top events? So that's kind of been something we continue to play with.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that I think is a little unique to us here at the Charleston Place.
Wow. Yeah, that's super interesting. And it sounds like, for each property, there's an evolution that you're constantly kind of working through. But I love some of the tactics that you each have described. I think that's really cool. Well, I want to move on to a really important question, which is why experiential? Why in the world would you invest? I mean, everything you have just described takes an incredible amount of intentionality. It demands that you operationalize this at some level and make it efficient. But you've made this a core part of your offering and a core part of your brand. So I would love to kind of hear, why have each of your brands put that work in to build the experiential, and how is that paying off for you?
Well, at Alila Ventana, we're an all-inclusive resort. So when our guests are coming to us, they are here to stay and they are not looking to go off property. And I think something that's really important about experiences with the current modern traveler is there is always this question of perception of value. And if I am going to pay thousands of dollars a night to come stay at your resort, what is the value? Is the value there? And for us, the experiences were a huge part of that value add. that would allow us to get to the ADRs that we are currently at. There had to be really, again, unique and curated experiences or private experiences that guests could do, because they're coming here for 3 nights and they're staying with us the entire time. So what are they going to do while they're on property? If we didn't have experiences or our programming built up to where it is today, I can say with confidence that our ADR and our occupancy wouldn't be where it is today. That is a huge draw for people to come to Big Sur. It's the experience of it. It's not to come and sleep in our hotel room. It's to come and experience what Big Sur has to offer. So that's where it's been so beneficial to our model, being all inclusive. And to what the ladies have also mentioned, you know, we have a big, maybe half of our experiences are complimentary. So that's where that value is shown, is that we offer all of these things complimentary as a part of your experience. And then once we get them in one experience, we know that they're going to want to book others, because our facilitators are just, they're local. They are masters of crafts of different, very specific, unique specialties. We have a forager who literally will take our guests on a forager's hike and explain everything that they're seeing and touching and what they can taste. And, you know, we have a beekeeper like Kate does. We have someone who makes beautiful handmade knives that we do a sharpen the blade experience, because we also want our guests to be able to take home a piece of Ventana with them. And they do that in our experiences. They'll have a piece of Ventana that is upcycled from something on property, whether it's a fallen redwood tree or leather that we get upcycled for our leather making class. Like, genuinely, our guests are taking home a piece of this really special place.
I love that, Julia, and I completely agree. It's definitely the case at South Hall. We have a very high or a higher ADR than our comp set here. And while our guests are prepared to pay that rate, they're still looking for value for money. And so what we do here is charge a resort fee, and we include about a third of our most popular activities in that resort fee on a complimentary basis. So for example, our yoga and our sunbathing, access to our lake activities and hiking trails. So guests really feel like they're getting value in the rate by being able to do those complimentary activities. But then, you know, I'm sure we're all aware there's such a trend in the travel industry on wellness. Yes, people want to come and relax and recharge and eat nice food and drinks, but they also want to focus on wellness. They want to be able to work out. They want to be able to visit the spa, to hike, and do all of those other things. And so we include slightly elevated activities in those wellness programs that guests can book. And like we've briefly discussed earlier, by bringing guests to Way in order to book those complimentary activities, they're finding our paid activities while doing that. Guests love to be able to book their itineraries in their own time, to be able to really look through all of the activities that we offer. And so they might book something that they might not have otherwise. For example, falconry, they might not have known that we did that. Or mountain biking, for example. So yeah, I think that while our guests definitely are prepared to pay the rate, they still want to have value for money and while they're staying with us.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely think there's, you know, the luxury traveler is quite savvy, and, you know, while they are willing to pay a premium for a certain experience, they are looking for that value in return. At the Charleston place, though, you know, really experiences and have been a differentiator for us amongst our competition. So we have a lot of rooms to fill, like I mentioned previously. And, you know, with that, you know, we're looking at unique experiences that are geared towards a leisure audience. But particularly, you know, there's a lot of great hotels in Charleston, and they all offer some sort of different experience, you know, from boutique to large, like us here at the Charleston place. So, you know, as we were kind of reestablishing the Charleston Place brand under new local ownership, it became important for us to develop ways for us to be top of mind again. And so we really have approached experiences as a way to develop that name recognition and that brand awareness, and be that place that when a local Charlestonian is asked by a family member or a friend who's traveling to Charleston, where should I stay? There's so many great options, but we want to be top of mind. And for us, our experiences and leading first with a community first mindset has absolutely translated into year-over-year occupancy growth and higher ADR, simply because of these over-the-top experiences that we're curating, in the hopes of, celebrating Charleston and bringing people together.
Each of you nodded to these incredible like differentiation like moments that your brands are creating through the tactics that you put in place. I know that certainly Charleston Place, when people say your name, people nod. Like I've traveled a ton and been like, oh yeah, one of our clients is, Charleston Place, and everyone's like, oh yeah. Similar, for the other properties on the panel as well. Is there anything that you would add to this conversation around how to differentiate through experiential? Like you guys have already said so many incredible things about this. So, just want to make sure that there's nothing else you would want to kind of give our audience around how to use experiential to differentiate your brand.
One other thing I would say is that, don't be afraid, and the ladies kind of alluded to this before, to try and test things. I mean, if you looked in the back end of our way, you'll see page after page after page of experiences. You kind of have to figure out the secret sauce of where there is, brand alignment, meets revenue, meets, helping move the needle in terms of brand awareness or whatever those other goals are for your business. And, at the Charleston Place, while there may not be true ROI for a lot of our experiences, we see that in, incredible year-over-year growth, like I mentioned, in room nights, ADR, and awards obtained as well. We were actually on the Condé Nast Gold list this year for 2024. And a lot of that has been because of these experiences that we've created that have been press worthy, or do super well on social media, attract influencers. All of that helps, move the needle in terms of the ultimate revenue drivers for the business. Even if on paper it doesn't necessarily look that way, it absolutely translates. And when we looked at holiday 2023 versus 2022, there was over $1 million lift. And that is quantifiable, even if there's not dollars and cents that you can specifically track to a free snowfall experience. There's absolutely, ways there that you can not only differentiate your brand, but really help contribute to the bottom line as well.
That's such a great addition. How do you each leverage the calendar year holidays to build consistent programming? I mean, not every environment is the same in every season, and obviously holidays present an opportunity, but you likely also have slow seasons. So curious how you leverage kind of the larger calendar year to build consistent programming. Obviously, Catherine, we know you guys have this epic event in the winter, but would love to hear about the rest of the year and for each of your brands and properties, how you think through the calendar year as far as that programming.
Absolutely. So, I mentioned earlier that we're really fortunate here in Charleston that there's incredible events throughout the year. We call it festival season, that kind of kicks off in February and really takes us through June. Events like Spoleto Festival USA, which is this arts festival, to Charleston Wine and Food. And now actually we're going to have Food and Wine Classic here in just a couple of weeks in September. So that festival season's extending. Really, we look at the calendar through that lens first. We know that there's significant events that are driving people to town. And how do we then capitalize on the things that are already happening, the PR buzz, the digital buzz, all of those efforts? We want to be a part of that story, and being in the, very center of Charleston, as Charleston's living room, we feel like it's really our goal and our mission to enhance those events with not necessarily fringe events, but in a way layered on experiences that can help just enhance the time that these people have in Charleston. And so we always approach it through that first. We look at holidays as well, of course. Easter is a big one for us in addition to the festive season at the end of the year. But it's really a collective effort. I mean, it takes not only the marketing team, but our operations teams as well. I mean, we have food and beverage professionals that are so seasoned and are incredibly creative and have all of these wonderful ideas. So we spend a lot of time brainstorming and trying to work 6, 9, even 12 months out to develop these calendars. And really thinking through it again, how are we going to drive revenue, but how are we going to accomplish these other goals of, brand awareness or whatnot. So that's a little bit of our approach.
So here at Southville, we're a very new property. We just opened in December 2022, so almost 2 years operating now. So we're still learning as we go. But one thing we have learned about holiday programming is that we need more family programming, which we might not need throughout the year. Easter, the summer holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving, we would add a lot of family activities to our itinerary that we might not normally have. For example, on Thanksgiving is one of our most popular holidays so far. We tend to get large families coming to stay together over Thanksgiving, and we would add, last year we had a turkey trot that was really popular. We have candle rolling classes for children where our beekeeper actually uses the beeswax from the beehives. And we also like to involve our local community. The local community is really excited about holiday dinners that we have here. For example, we might host a champagne brunch in our event center, which they can come to. I think, with a lot of these holiday programmings, again, it's a very delicate balance between our guests staying at Southwell as well as our local community. And I think that Julia said it perfectly in her response about just keeping it intimate. I think the luxury experience is all about feeling intimate and having intimate experience and really being able to connect. Keeping it smaller, but it's been wonderful to be able to post it on Way again for our guests staying at Southwell as well as our local community to be able to just book it directly on there. Makes it so much easier.
Well, and they can plan in advance too. They know what their Thanksgiving is going to look and feel like. I know I'm thinking through that for my family. My dad's about to have this huge birthday, so I'm thinking, where am I going and what are all the things in advance that, I'm prepping for. So I think that's really important for people to be able to see out seasonally as well. That's awesome.
Right.
I just want to say ditto to everything that was just said because you were taking the words out of my mouth. I think I can't give enough credit to my programming team. I mean, I think it starts with identifying the individuals who are really going to take the lead on your experiences. It's super important. Otherwise, things can get lost in translation. So with that said, we also recognize that our programming team are fantastic, but bringing in other individuals into the conversation about experiences has been super beneficial for us. At Ventana, we host, we plan 6 months out, and then we meet bi-monthly to kind of review and add and make sure that we're all on track with marketing material. Is it shared in the right time frame? Is it available in Way? But that meeting is probably one of my favorite meetings that I ever do, because we just get to be creative. And what has come up from an assistant food and beverage manager or a front office host who just have an idea of something that they think might be fun for us to do. And so I think a lot of great ideas can come from within your organization, and you just need to give your team that space to want to feel creative with you. But it went from a 5-person meeting to 12 people to 15 people. And it's just a lot of fun because then they also feel a part of the process and a part of the experiences, and getting them involved just really creates a great synergy for this resort. And we also, we're a little unique for holidays. I came from a city hotel where you were doing the 500-person brunch on Easter and Mother's Day and Thanksgiving. And here, what I realized is that, again, our guests are coming just privately with the two of them. We don't allow kids. So our guests, we want to be mindful to not really throw a holiday in their face if they're trying to get away for that holiday.
Wow. Yeah.
So we want to be subtle. We had an experience over Valentine's Day that was Truffle Me Love, where it was a truffle making class, where it wasn't like so Valentine's Day themed, where you felt like, okay, this is a little too cheesy. It was a truffle making class, and we had a wine pairing with it. And we also like to tap into different days of the month. Like in February, there was a whole week where it was random acts of kindness. So we decided to give every guest in their room a giving bag where they could leave with us anything that they didn't want to take, and we would donate it to our organization, the Big Share. And just to Kate's point that she said earlier, guests want to feel involved. They want to feel like they're touching a community that they visited. And we really are tapping into ways for them to do that. And I think that although our experiences are very vast right now and we have a very wide range of offerings, it's really just the beginning. I feel like we're just scratching the surface on what is possible at Ventana. Given also that the Pacific Ocean is right there, we're currently building out a sea salt harvesting program where we can take the sea salt and use it in experiences and use it in spa treatments. And so really utilizing where you are in the world and what is special about that place, what makes Nashville special and what makes Ventana special, and then lean into it and be unapologetic about what you're doing and why you're doing it.
I love that what I'm hearing from all of you is that you both for both urban and more rural locations, the same kind of perspective exists, and that's really bringing your soul and your place to life. And that it's completely doable to build an incredible experiential program in an urban or town environment, as well as more rural, where you get to be close to the land. And I love kind of the diversity of thought here around how to do that. That's really awesome. So what I know that everybody wants to also hear about is how to really integrate experiential into your revenue model. And so I want to move on to that as kind of the way we close out our conversation. There's been so many good insights that have been brought forward. So I know it's one thing to, build an experience, and it's another thing to bring it into your revenue model. You guys have already shared some really incredible insights around this. But I want to ask in particular, what do you do in your day-to-day in your roles to ensure that it is actually bringing lift? You mentioned some of the numbers that you're looking at, but would love to just open up the floor for any other comments that you might have as people are looking and maybe even scared to operationalize experiences, because there is a cost there. How do you make sure that cost that you're incurring matters?
Well, I'll start. So I think just for us at Southwell, we have our Southwell Experience team where we really try to connect with every guest before they come to Southwell. Because we have such a robust activity calendar that's constantly changing with the season, we want guests to be somewhat knowledgeable about what we have available here before they get here. So not only do we provide that by email, and let them try to lead them to our website, which leads them to Way to book those experiences, but we want them to really think about what they can do when they're here. The complimentary activities are great and necessary, but we want them to book the falconry, and we want them to book the the guided hike and our orchard tour. And so for us, it's really trying to create that personal experience and get to know our guest, so that we can truly recommend something that we know that they're going to enjoy and they're going to be happy to pay for. And in doing that, we found it really has increased our ADR, because guests are so excited to do what we've described to them, and can't wait to get here. And it has been successful for us.
We do something very similar at Ventana. We send out an email to all of our arriving guests 2 weeks before they get here, and we start the conversation. We ask them to take a survey. We want to know why they're coming. We want to know, is it a special occasion? Are you bringing a friend? Do you have restrictions? And we get all this information. And to your point, Kate, then we take that and we try to curate something really special for them. I think it's also really important when you're trying to understand if programming is going to drive revenue for your operation, or is it going to be profitable in its own standalone area. It's just doing a basic reverse P&L to say, okay, we want to do these 5 experiences. What are they going to cost the guest? What are they going to cost us? How much labor is involved? What are the operating supplies and tools that you need? And then you can look at it on paper and you can say, okay, this makes sense, or no, it doesn't. And then you can make adjustments based on that. But I think that the way that we have it structured is we look at our programming on its own line in the P&L, and that allows us to really see the proof in the numbers. Because if you can't measure it, then you can't manage it. You can just only hope that it's bringing guests to your resort or your restaurant. But until you can look at it in its own kind of department and just keep it isolated so you can really track what that program and those offerings are doing, then you can build on top of it. But I think it's really important that our guests, who are the luxury traveler, they are looking for it and they want it. They want well-being. They want to experience things that are going to make them feel whole. I think it's, there's a lot of burnout. There's exhaustion. There's so much going on in the world that people, they want a space and they will pay for it. And it's worth it because in our operation, our programming department is flowing to the bottom line tremendously. It's a revenue generator for us for sure. And that ties directly back into our rate. So we have found tremendous value in it. And Way, as we've talked about, the ability that Way has had to allow us to manage and track and to make pivots and to curate. Not only is it just aesthetically beautiful to look at the Way platform, and our guests find it very easy to navigate through, which makes the ease of booking. People may get so far into the click of booking and then, oh, it's too complicated and I have to enter in this and enter that. Way just makes it so easy for our guests before they arrive to have everything that they need arranged. So it's been talk about the capture ratio from pre-Way to post-Way. We are capturing probably 90% of our guests in at least 1 to 2 experiences, if not 5 or more.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I've loved learning and hearing all about the various programming and approaches. There's definitely some takeaways for us here today at the Charleston Place. But I think, I've spoken a lot about our complimentary programming, and of course, that's always going to be at the forefront of what we do. I haven't spoken a lot about the paid programming, which is absolutely a part of our strategy. We are always developing what we call always-on experiences through this lens of the power of access. So I spoke about how giving our guests the keys to Charleston is really at the heart of what we do. And so, again, thinking about why people are traveling to Charleston, why they're booking the Charleston Place, food and beverage tends to be one of the main reasons why we set ourselves apart amongst our competition here in Charleston. And obviously, we know that that's the reason why people travel here. And so, developing things like a botanical cocktail making class with our beverage director that's then paired with a walking tour to one of the beautiful gardens here in Charleston in partnership with the Charleston Parks Conservancy. That's been one of our new experiences this year that's been really well received, kind of really balancing the beauty of nature in Charleston that's right outside of our doors with this food and beverage component. And the Way platform absolutely functions as a portal. Our experiences page really is at the forefront of our marketing efforts. We are always putting whatever experiences that we have going on, whether it's a seasonal or holiday experience or one of these Power of Access always on events, in those emails. They're always featured in our social media. They're the things we're including in journalist and influencer itineraries when we're hosting them here at the Charleston Place. So really it's an experience first marketing plan that we've created. And the Way tools have allowed us to do that really effectively for all of the reasons why the ladies already shared. I mean, the data from the platform absolutely helps us inform our decision making and helps us ensure that not only are we offering things that guests are interested in, and we're seeing that conversion, but that we're also, being smart about the dollars and cents that go into these events, by building budgets and P&Ls and doing all of that research on the front end. Way really gives us the tools to do that effectively.
And Catherine, you obviously jumped into some of the marketing strategies and in the fact that you see experiential as part of your core marketing strategy. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about how each of you both use experiential as part of your marketing strategy, but also market your experiences. So that would be an awesome conversation to open up.
We're absolutely leveraging experiences as a huge part of our marketing strategy. Charleston's an interesting market in the sense that, it's been named the #1 travel destination in the US for the last 10 years in Condé Nast Travel and Leisure. And with that recognition comes not only new travelers to Charleston, but a huge repeat traveler community. You have so many guests here at the Charleston Place who have come back year after year after year. And yes, they're coming back for Charleston, but they're coming back for the fact that they can have a different experience every time they come. They can be focused on the city center and walking tours. Another trip, they can, go out to our beautiful beaches or, explore some of the really unique lands around us that are part of the Low Country. So Charleston is really unique in the fact that there's so much to uncover and so much to explore. And so, being centered here in the heart of the historic Charleston at the Charleston Place, of course, we want to celebrate our city, but our experiences give us a great way to tell the whole story of Charleston, depending on the season. And so from a marketing perspective, we definitely rely on our owned channels. Email and social media in particular are huge drivers of traffic to the Way page, our experiences page. And, we've gotten a little bit more savvy as we've collected more data. And so we've developed personalized segmented email lists, and we're remarketing to the guests that have attended our events in the past. If they've come, we know that we're likely to get them to come back. And so it's really utilizing those channels lower in the marketing funnel to continue to drive awareness. But upper funnel and experiences have been incredibly important. It's something our PR team always looks forward to hearing about. What do you guys have going on property? And it's not only a hook to get journalists in our doors, but from a storytelling perspective, it's a really great way to continue to talk about Charleston in a more interesting way. So many stories have been told over the last 12 years, but there's so many more to tell. And so I think the more we can lean into unique experiences to do that, not only does it help our community and our city, but of course it helps set us apart here at the Charleston Place as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Catherine. We too use our digital marketing channels, such as our social media to promote our programming, but as well as email marketing. But I think in the luxury market, it's again a very fine line. It's a balance of how often you can reach out to your client base. Something that we're still learning. I'm sure we probably always will be, but a large part of our marketing is done through our email client base. A big part of our business is from the drive market. So within 100 miles of us. So we rely on word of mouth too. And again, that comes back to our local community and making sure that they feel involved and they feel connected in what we have going on here at Southwell. And when we have news or updates, we want them to be included in that because we feel like they are connected to and then want to come back again.
That's such a great point. I live in Austin, and every weekend I'm building an itinerary for someone who's visiting. And so my proximity to the properties that I spend a pool day at or, the go to eat at, their restaurants are literally the exact hotels that I recommend to my friends. So that's a really important point, is that if you are in one of those drive markets or local environments, your local community is really critical to kind of raising that megaphone.
I agree. I think that what Kate and Catherine mentioned are things that we do as well. We really lean in more to social media, given the following that we have at Ventana. So that's been huge for us. And our PR team as well is always hungry for what is happening at Ventana this month. And then they do a great job of curating our page and making it a really attractable space. I also think it's very important to invest in appropriate photography and videography for your experiences, because that will tell the story for the guests when they're not physically here. So we have put a lot of our efforts behind making sure that the content, the photos, even the descriptions that we have speak true to what the experience will actually be. We don't want to put up just a photo that isn't even at our property and it's falconry somewhere else. Like, we want you to see what you're going to experience, and that's been huge for us. And video is really big right now. Reels are going viral on our page. We do partner with content creators who speak to our specific target audience, and those have done extraordinarily well for us. So we will continue to tap in where we need to, but we don't have the luxury, and this is just Hyatt and a bigger corporation, of having a database of emails that we get to send to whenever we'd like. So we do have to get a little bit creative in the marketing space, but a big chunk of our business is actually in the state of California. So most of it is drive-in. And what we're also trying to do is, instead of just marketing us, let's market ourselves together as the 3 ALHAs of California. And you can turn it into a whole coastal adventure. You start in Napa, you come down to Big Sur, and you finish in San Diego. So where we are also obviously trying to market ourselves, we're trying to sell ourselves as a brand and create more brand awareness for ALHA by targeting how you can experience ALHA in 3 really unique and different destinations along the coast of California.
It's a really awesome idea. And definitely pointing to the brand building work that you can do through every marketing exercise. We see on the back end, that email marketing is like, legacy as that is one of the biggest converters for experiences. And so I love that each of you are leveraging that, as well as social being one of the biggest traffic drivers. So I think that's awesome. And there is nothing like seeing someone experience what you wish you could experience to get you pumped about something that you might want to do. So I think that's awesome. And the other point that you brought up that I really want to lean into, and we see all the time, is not having experiences really leveraged on your website in a beautiful way, and a way that is easy to find, is one of the biggest failures most brands kind of run into in not really building their experiential program. You're not going to have good numbers if people can't find the experiences that you're wanting to market. And the beautiful video and photography are a critical component of that. We just released, actually yesterday, I'm going to edit that out because this is dated. We recently released a video as part of our experience pages, because we're recognizing how powerful it is to actually see and feel and hear what it might be like to, make those beeswax candles, or be at the actual concert with the live band. I know I got to watch the Rambler series video yesterday, and I was like, I'm going to go sometime this fall and see my friends. So those are very evocative opportunities, and each of your brands are doing such a wonderful job at that. So those are great points. The last thing I'm going to ask is there any advice that you have not given already? There's already been so many powerful pieces of insight that you guys have provided, but is there any last bit of advice that you would give to luxury brands or properties wanting to build an experiential program that is both differentiated from the competition, which is going to always be harder and harder to do as experiences are more on the rise? It gets more and more challenging to differentiate, and we're obviously seeing this movement, and a core part of that movement here at Way, but staying in the front, and then also making sure that it is meaningful to your revenue. What are any last do's or don'ts that you guys would leave with our audience?
I think for us at South Hall, because we're such a new property, the most important thing that we've learned is to truly know who we are, but also who our guest is and what they want. Because they will tell you, but we it's up to us to listen and be adaptable and make the change based on what the guest wants to do when they're here. It's been a very interesting journey, and I think that the number one thing we've learned is that the guest wants to be in control. They want to be able to book their own experiences. If they can book their own dinner and their own spa and their falconry, they want to do it. And so just like how you said a moment ago about the website, it's so important that all of these activities are easily accessible to guests, bookable to them. And then in doing that, they get a nice itinerary before they're even here. So they've truly thought about their experience while they're here. So they are educated. And I think we can then provide a better experience to the guest. Just overall, the guest is going to have a more enjoyable experience.
Such a great point.
I think it's important to remember that quality over quantity. It's really important that you really take the time to develop an experience. If you're new to putting experiences into your hotel or resort or organization, you don't have to start with 40 programs. We didn't start with 40 programs. We had maybe half of that when I joined the team early last year. So just know that it's meaningful quality experiences over how many you can actually achieve. And it's important that if you start slow, that you will find that you can build momentum. So that's my do and don't, is don't think that you need to have a certain number to be competitive. It's in the quality of what you're going to be offering that's going to make the most impact.
I completely agree with the ladies. Authenticity is key, and quality over quantity, absolutely. One of the other tips I would say is don't be afraid to lean into other experts. We haven't really talked about the fact that Way has the ability to allow for external hosts. And so that's been really important way for us to celebrate other key characters in Charleston, or bring in experts outside of who we can tap into within the Charleston Place team to really develop and bring to life things that are maybe a little outside of our wheelhouse, or we're just not positioned to have. For example, there's a incredible 100-plus-year-old jewelry store in Charleston called Krogan's that's about a block or two away, and no one does jewelry or personalized shopping better than them in this store. And so we've partnered with them on an after hours private exclusive shopping experience, and the third fourth generation, I believe now, actually, family members who own the store are the hosts for that. And so that's been another really great way for us to not only build our brand awareness, our brand expertise by partnering with third parties, but the audience exposure and sharing opportunities has also been a huge benefit.
That's a wonderful addition, to remember that there are experts and craftsmen in your town and in your locale that can bring to life programming that's going to be incredibly special. And you're right, Way. Our passion is, and really our kind of initial product was to make that easier for properties to be able to do. And it's really fun getting to see all the amazing things that creators are able to partner with brands like yours on. So awesome. Well, it was an incredible conversation today, discussing how to leverage experiences to drive room demand, ADR, and loyalty. And I'm so grateful to our amazing panelists who helped us dive into this topic and unlock a lot of amazing insights. One thing that we wanted to leave you with from Way is our 2024 experiential trend report. This dives into global trends across hospitality, where we are seeing amazing brands leverage experiential to build more revenue and loyalty. And we want you to be able to have that. So if you'd like to download that link is in the comments. It's also available to you in all the marketing materials surrounding this webinar. And the other thing we wanted to gift you with was the opportunity to meet with our in-house experience curation team. We know that sometimes it's really helpful to have another brain in the room, an idea partner to think through how to unlock your brand's potential as well as your property's potential. And so this is just a free 30-minute consultation to help you do that. If you're interested in either of those, we'd love you to take advantage of it. We would love to be your thought partner and technology partner in your journey as you continue to build a meaningful experiential program. In closing, we want to thank each of you for joining the International Luxury Hotel Association's webinar series. If you found this webinar to be of value, please do share the recording, and also want you to know that recordings of past webinars of amazing conversations just like this are available on the ILHA's website at theilha.com. under events. So take advantage of those. And thank you again for joining. Please have a wonderful day.